Hey y'all, it's your boy Trist from Holy Baloney Jabronis and Not Your Normal Discussion Podcast. Wishing you another day of bliss as we get into this. So, I was originally going to do a different video today, but I peeped that Kyle Klinsky from Secular Talk is reacting to basically Republicans, like I think it said in the title, 157 of them voted no on a gay marriage bill. And isn't this what we've been talking about how all this rhetoric, all this anti-trans misogynistic shit is like is leading to just what Clarence Thomas wants, that like religious theocracy for America, where like something that we've already been decided over a decade ago, like officially clear. Now they try and backpedal, they pussy popping, but yeah, I already know I talk way too much to these things, so let's just watch for a little bit.
So let me go ahead and throw this one up. We'll jump into the first story here. Republicans split on same-sex marriage bill, which faces uncertainty in the Senate. GOP senators are torn between their culturally conservative base, which is resistant to the idea, and a large majority of the country that favors legal gay marriage. So the House, to their credit, did something that everybody's been saying they should do for a while now, which is as soon as this recent slate of terrible Supreme Court decisions came down, everybody said, well, hold on. If all these good ideas, like, interracial marriage, gay marriage, right to choose, etc., if all of that is going to be slapped down by the Supreme Court, and they say, no, the Constitution doesn't give you this right, well then, one of the ways around that is to codify that into law through Congress. So it would have to get through the House, the Senate, and then the President would have to sign those bills. So, look, Joe Biden, for all of his flaws, if a bill gets to his desk that codifies gay marriage, codifies right to choose, etc., he would sign that bill. So the House got their rear in gear for maybe the first time ever, and they passed a couple bills. I'm going to do separate segments on both of these, but there was one on gay marriage. Should we make gay marriage legal apart from any constitutional issue? Should Congress codify gay marriage? And the other one was right to contraception. So in the House, the gay marriage bill passed, but hold your horses, because I have some incredible numbers for you. So this article here in NBC News says, a bill to codify federal protections for same-sex marriage has passed the House, but Senate Republicans are agonizing over whether they should back it or allow it to pass.
I just want to stop for a second and be like, this is how crazy deadlocked everything's gone in Congress, that, in the Senate, it's often what keeps us from ever actually looking at laws that's going to make any type of reforms to the system. And usually, we know it's going to be some incremental shit, is going to do the bare minimum. But the fact that so many things die in the Senate, whether it's due to Mitch McConnell or it's just due to the fact that the Democrats won't get off their asses and kill the filibuster, especially when people are begging them to, and while they're begging people to come out and vote, they're still like, there's not much we can do, but hey, get us over to 60 by your damn selves, and then hey, maybe we'll actually be able to stop the erasure of all of your damn rights. But let's see.
Well, block it or allow it to pass, with Democrats seeking to portray Republicans as belonging to a retrograde and primitive party that wants to strip away modern rights. Their decision could play a role in the midterm elections this fall. Some GOP strategists want the party to move past the issue by codifying protections, but that risks upsetting the cultural conservatives, which make up a significant portion of the party's base. Look at this. A Gallup poll released last month found that most Americans, 71%, favor legal same-sex marriage. 71%. Now, guys, it wasn't that long ago. In my lifetime, that number was under 50%. But it's been a massive victory that equal rights over time has become more and more popular. And now, that's a stunningly high number. 70.
Yeah, I remember, even myself, there was a time period where, back at the start of college, where I was going to some store with my college roommate at the time, and seeing a what you call a magazine with talking about gay rights, the new civil rights movement. Like that was like one of the titles on top of the magazine, and it's just and for me at the time I was like, listen, I have nothing against gay people, but this kind of seems like co-opting. And look at how far I've come in all this time period. Never, even relative to like my peers growing up, I didn't feel like I was homophobic, but I clearly wasn't as like educated as I am now on the realization that yes, all of these rights that people deserve to have protects our rights as well, and we're all deserving of human liberties to do all kinds of things like express ourselves, marry, get to identify how we identify, and not have that hindered because of people's different religious rights. And that's why it's so sad to me recently when I was praying on a prayer line that my mom asked me to come on to, where they started complaining about, oh, Joe Biden, he's not really following the will of God. You know, he wants to be out here doing things to like help bring out abortion. I'm just like, I'm thinking so many things in my head at that time, like, oh, I do realize abortion is in the Bible. As much as like my denomination, the Christians, they really pressed to be like, oh, line upon line, precept upon precept. Like Numbers 5, I think 11:22. Abortion's right there in the Bible. Like, if a priest is making a woman miscarry because the husband thinks that he may cheat on her and it's not his, that's abortion. That's what that was back then. But yeah, it's what he's talking about is true. Like there was a time period where all of us, or not all of us, but a lot of us were way more to the right of this subject, and it's because people are given rights that more people have moved over. But there is still that group that's so rigidly holding on to traditionalist beliefs, to certain religious beliefs, and not thinking about how, A, your religious freedoms are tied to these other freedoms of expression, and they just want things to go back to their cis heteronormative, patriarchal, white supremacist, influenced version of the way the world should be.
1% say they're in favor of gay marriage. That means it's virtually everybody on the left, every liberal, almost every moderate or independent, and even according to some polls, most conservatives. I'm not sure it's like that in every poll, but there are a lot of conservatives who now are okay with gay marriage.
Just skipping ahead, because I'm not going to make this video long, even though I'll get to the part wherever he talks about the number of people. I'll let it play that long. But just skipping ahead, more broadly, Republican activists dislike the idea of giving the Democrats a win, even on an issue where there is consensus in the general public. Again, treating people's rights and lives like they're games. This is why we have a topic coming up on a podcast about debates, and which is why I'm like talking about the nature debates. And we do a lot of debating on a podcast, but I do sit there and wonder, like, how much are people really getting to learn or know? How much are people like getting to expand their minds on the thoughts of thinking about how we should think about these issues if everything is just like putting these different ideas on an equal platform, equal playing field, and just treating it like opinions rather than like actually assessing what's bigoted, what's dangerous. Like I said, there was a time period where I was looking at it like, not necessarily thinking like, oh, I hate gay people or anything like that, but more so like, I feel like they're co-opting black civil rights, without even doing a deeper analysis at the time of like, oh, queer people were a big part of the civil rights movement, black queer people, and the same struggle for black gay rights and black queer rights and black trans rights is a part of what helped us attain our rights as well, from the Stonewall movement and everything else. But let's get back to this real quick. I'm already talking. It's already getting long. I know y'all don't like watching the long videos, so let's get back to this.
Quote, the issue puts Republicans in an awkward spot. I love this, because now they're going to do like the politicking of this, as if that's at all relevant to the substantive and moral question at the heart of it. This issue puts Republicans in an awkward spot, said Jack Pitney, a professor of political science at Claremont McKenna College. Most Americans support same-sex marriage. Even a majority of self-identified Republicans support it. But evangelicals represent a huge share of GOP activists, and they still oppose it. More broadly, Republican activists dislike the idea of giving the Democrats a win, even on an issue where there is consensus in the general public. Soak that in for a second. Giving Democrats a win by supporting equal rights for gay people. That's how that's framed. Republicans are like, or a bunch of them, and I'll get to the numbers in a second, are like, come on, we can't give them a win. Okay, how far would this go? How far could this go?
I mean, that's at a certain point. It took a civil war to get, black people, enslaved Africans, their freedom, because at the end of the day, you're having debates about, should black people be treated as human beings? Should they be given some freedoms? Should we end slavery? Instead of being like, fuck yeah, this is fucking wrong. We left Britain over the context, the idea that we wanted to be free from their tyranny of them not, respecting us and our rights, even though we pay taxes. And yet, black people could be treated like whole property and animals.
If you said interracial marriage, we're going to vote to codify interracial marriage because the Supreme Court ruled there's a right to interracial marriage. What if they roll that one back? So what if the House proposed a bill to legalize interracial marriage? What would happen? Would the Republicans say, I don't know, man, it's a controversial issue, and I don't want to give the Democrats a win? How far would they be willing to go? And look, the answer is a large chunk of the party, overwhelming majority of the party, in terms of the elected representatives, are like, there is no bottom to this barrel. I'll go as evil and primitive and retrograde and pathetic as you can possibly imagine. For now, Democrats have locked down nearly half the Republican votes needed to break a 60-vote filibuster.
Which I still wouldn't leave it up to that. I would... Maybe in this case they could play a little bipartisanship, but it's still all political games over people's rights. At some point, they need to just dead this filibuster, because again, you're counting on bipartisanship to save people's rights when we've seen what that's done already. We've seen how we've lost rights because of all the haggling, because you were willing to, like Hillary Clinton. She's talking about, she was going to be the way that was going to lead to greater freedoms and greater representation, and yet Tim Kaine, her, vice president pick, was so anti-abortion. Joe Biden, the guy that we elected in to be Trump, is also majorly against the Hyde Amendment and abortion. And him doing this is more so just a service as a Democrat, but less about any ideological push to actually really stop it, since he ideologically disagrees with it, or religiously at least. So we're relying on a lot of people who don't really have a vested interest in these certain rights being our defenders, which is why we need to get rid of the filibuster and just change up our political system altogether.
So half of the Republican votes needed to break a 60-vote filibuster. So what does that mean? They have 5 Republicans in the Senate?
Well, oh yeah, true. Because I'm thinking they talking about, I'm over here just glossing over things. They're talking about, there's a lot of Republicans who are going to be in favor of this. It's about nearly half the Republican votes they need to break a 60 vote. So yeah, at least it's 5, just 5. That's all you. So it's again, more reason to get rid of the filibuster, because then you'll just need 1, 2, or since you have the majority, you just need Kamala. But again, they won't do that, because if they could do that, then people would actually look to them to do more instead of doing what both parties have been doing for the longest time, and basically letting the Supreme Court be the one who decides what the law is going to be.
Is that it? Or no. To break the filibuster, I think that's a higher number, right? I think it's a little higher. So maybe they have more than 5. Don't quote me on that. I don't know why I'm blanking on what you need to break the filibuster. With many GOP senators dismissing the bill as unnecessary, and accusing Democrats of trying to weaponize an issue they say is settled.
Just like abortion rights was supposedly settled, according to the same justices that got elected in and said, no, we wouldn't get rid of abortion rights. Roe vs. Wade is settled. You can't believe these people.
It's still unclear if the legislation will draw enough Republicans to become law. Okay. Well, hold on now. Democrats didn't bring this up. It was Clarence Thomas who brought it up specifically in his decision when it came to Roe versus Wade. He said, hey, Obergefell next, dog. Put it up on the chopping block. They didn't decide this one right. Ted Cruz did a podcast recently. And in it, he said, Obergefell, which is the right to gay marriage, he says that Supreme Court decision was incorrect. And we need to throw that out. So,
again, a U.S. theocracy is coming, and it's going to take us putting the bullshit away, educating ourselves, and, like, recognizing that, like, we could have a better world if we are ready for a radical revolution of our values and our freedoms, like Martin Luther King was pushing, even in his day. If we come together and, like, stop these motherfuckers from taking everything away. I was going to watch a little bit longer the video. I think we all get the point. Democrats, not so great. Republicans, even worse. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to more than just going to vote. To keep our freedoms, we have to really get fucking involved and make a difference. Alright. Let's do it.